In today's video, we are on our way to do a construction site visit. And what does a construction site visit entail? Well, for the architect, it means we're going to check out the project for conformity to the construction drawings and making sure our client gets what they paid for in the design of the home that they want. And the second part of this video is to showcase the project to you guys so you get an understanding of what it is. And if you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below, but we'll get right to it. All right, guys, today we are on site for a construction visit for one of our custom residences. This is outside of Greensburg, Pennsylvania. And as you can see, it is a very snowy day, pretty cold as well. Do you happen to know what the temperature was today?
I don't.
Well, we're gonna say sub 20 degrees probably. Right now we're walking up the driveway. We had this sited differently in the plans. It actually came from that angle, but as we got out here and our contractor sited the house, as well as working with the surveyor to identify where the house was going to be on site, it ended up being almost 12 feet higher at the front door entry than down here at the street side. So we had to change the direction of the driveway. Now we're coming off of the cul-de-sac here at the end to hopefully slow the slope of this driveway up to the house, because this is in fact for a car collector. So we actually have a hobby garage on the right hand side of the house, and we have our main garage, and one of the cars that they have is an old Corvette. I think it's a 60s Corvette. Those are really low to the ground. We want to make sure they don't scrape as they come into the driveway. It's one of the perils of working in Western Pennsylvania. You have all this topography to work with. So far, we've been in construction for almost a month now. Last time I was here, I met with the contractor and our foundation crew at the Starbucks down the street, and we went over the drawings to make sure that everything was going to be laid out correctly. So far, the only thing that's happened is we've got the excavation done and our footers are put in, along with the footer drain, because they used drain, which actually forms the footers as well as installs the drain at the same time.
So what is a footer? Well, think of it like a snowshoe for the house. If you've ever walked in deep snow with your regular boots, like I'm doing here, you've realized that your weight is concentrated and you sink directly into the snow. However, if you had a pair of snowshoes that you put on, your weight would be spread evenly and you would be walking on top of the snow rather than sinking into it. A footer does the exact same thing for a building. It's a wide, continuous base of concrete and rebar that takes up the mass of the building and the concentrated weight of the entire house and distributes it evenly across the soil so that the building doesn't sink or settle unevenly. But a strong base isn't enough. You have to protect it from its worst enemy, water. If water pools around the base of the foundation, it can turn the soil into mud, causing the house to sink. Or in cold climates, that water can freeze, expand, and actually heave the foundation upward, cracking the concrete. And those cracks in that concrete foundation will then travel up the building and cause problems further along in the structure. That brings us to what might look like a normal concrete form from the sides of our footer. We're covered with snow here, but I pointed out a couple of times throughout the video. We actually used a system here called drain. Instead of using wood planks, which would be typical to form a concrete footer, these forms stay in the ground forever. If we form this foundation the traditional way, with wooden boards, we would have ended up coming back later to install a drainage system that's typically a PVC pipe that's perforated on the bottom, also known as drain tile. We would install this on the inside and the outside of the foundation to make sure that water is pulled away. With the drain system, all of that's done in one step. With the footers poured and our drainage system baked right in, the groundwork is literally laid for our project. Next up, we're bringing in the big forms to pour our foundation walls as soon as the weather breaks.
To Sydney's right, directly in front of me, is going to be our main garage for the house. That's a 3-car garage. The entry is actually going to be off on this side over here, and you're going to enter from the side of the house. The front here, you can kind of see in here the foundation poking out. We're not going to walk too far into here because it's dug down, but over here on my right, you can see that black thing poking out of the snow. That's actually the drain. So the footer for our garage is right there, and then eventually they're going to come back once we've finished everything, and they're going to take all this dirt and then backfill it. But you can see that drain right there, and then that's kind of where the garage pokes out a little bit. we've got a nice little feature on the front of the house that pokes that out, gives a little relief to the facade because we don't want a big flat plane there. Headed back over this way, this is really the entry for the house. We're gonna have a front porch on the left here. This will be our front porch. Our contractor, our excavation crew really has that slope that's going in right here, and that's because they want to be able to get their machinery down into the basement here to be able to continue excavating, and then that also allows our concrete crew to pour our footers and get the drains all set up as well. As you can see, like, the basement's pretty deep. That is kind of our finished grade. We're going to add a couple of feet, so our total basement height is going to be about 9 feet. Our first floor ceiling height's 9 feet as well, so the basement is intended to not feel like a basement. They really want it to feel like part of the living space down there. So we dug down pretty far. Not as far as that street though. Sydney, do you have any questions so far?
No questions.
No questions, no comments? Before I go down there, I'll go down myself and we won't drag Sydney down there. But over on the right-hand side, we'll take a look over there, because really, I mean, the intent of these construction site visits is to see what's going on, make sure that the work that's being done conforms to the drawings. It's really tough on a day like this, but this was the opportunity we had to get out here. And honestly, we're documenting the progress as well. So we can see that our foundation footer is in, our drainage is in. You can see it coming all the way around. We have these black tarps back there. That's actually where the foundation will step down. We have rear porch back over there, and it's going to be screened in on the right hand side of that where those drop down, and they're going to attach to the foundation on the back of the house that way. And then on the left we have an open porch for the rear of the house. We're gonna have a big almost 12-foot slider from the living room that opens all the way up to the backyard. It's gonna be actually very nice, and when those pines grow up, you won't even see the neighbors anymore. We have a really wooded lot. We were trying to take advantage of that. The front of the house, we've also got another porch, and what I like to do is make sure that our porches all have foundations. As you can see, we are in Western Pennsylvania. We're in essentially the edge of the Laurel Highlands, so we're up in the mountains, kind of, and we get a lot of snow, and we don't want frost heaving causing deterioration of our porches, which does happen. Contrary to a lot of contractors, they'll say, oh, you don't need foundations for your porches. You do, because we want to make sure that that doesn't move differentially from the rest of the house. And I've seen it happen where a porch slab that doesn't have a foundation will either drop or separate from the house, and we really don't want that happening here. We want to make sure that this lasts a very long time. We like to build homes that aren't going to last for 50 years, but they're going to last for 100 or 200 years, or even longer, hopefully. If you guys have any questions about this home, the design of a custom home, or what an architect does on a construction site visit, let me know in the comment section below. We'll go over here and then we'll let Cindy run back into the car. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right. So another really cool thing about this project is that this homeowner was a car enthusiast. So unfortunately, our homeowner's husband passed away. We actually designed this house 3 years ago, and in that time the husband passed away. He was a real car collector. He tinkered on these things, he built them. He was an engineer by trade, and so that was his hobby, was rebuilding old cars, classic cars. And the garage itself was supposed to be housing for 11 cars with 2 lifts in it, which was really cool. I'm gonna walk over this way. Sid, you can stay where you're at. You don't have to get into this snow. But as we designed the driveway, you were to approach the main house in this way, but you could drive straight into the hobby garage. And that's because we have 11 cars, 2 lifts. Originally the design was 3 bays wide, so that gives you a lot of space for the cars in the hobby room. Unfortunately, because our client's husband passed away, we really had no need for the hobby garage anymore, so we downsized that about a month ago. We downsized that whole thing. We weren't really sure if she was going to end up building. We cleared the lot almost 3 years ago now. During that time, we weren't sure if they were going to build. 2 months ago, they reached back out and said we were going to build, and I redesigned a lot of the house within that time to accommodate her new needs, and that included reducing the size of the hobby garage. So now that's really just going to be a 4.5 car garage, got about 24 feet wide, almost 30 feet deep. It matches now the rear of the house the whole way across, so the geometry is all really they match up really well on the back of the house. It actually looks very beautiful now. We have a beautiful breezeway between the two. How do you tie that architecturally without looking like a giant mass? Well, we created a nice breezeway, a lot of glass that actually allows you to look through the house into the backyard. This is a modern transitional style, so we have a lot of traditional style and we're pairing it with modern styling, so a lot of glass, really elevating that space, bringing natural light in, but also it allows you to highlight the nature around the house as well. Thank you for being such a gracious camera woman.
Thank you.
My lovely wife Sydney helping us with the camera operation today. As you can see, the slope of the driveway is pretty crazy. It's not as bad as our other house out in the Laurel Highlands that has a 13% grade, but this one does have a pretty good size grade. If you guys have any questions about what it is that an architect does on a construction site visit, leave them in the comment section below. A couple other things. I was talking about the hobby garage, and we're gonna walk over to that right here. Where I'm standing right now is really the central part of the driveway. As you can see, originally I wanted the drive to come from there. I'd hoped to sink the house further. We really were limited, so we actually sunk it and then had to raise it a little bit. So the house will sit about 2 feet higher than it is now, and then it'll be backfilled. So that actually raises us a little bit. And because of that, we had to shift the driveway. So it'll come in from here. As you pull up and turn around, almost following these tracks here, these deer tracks, it enters into the hobby garage. Now, we're gonna have one large door for the hobby garage now instead of 2 doors that we had designed previously. We had kind of a shed roof coming off the side here to help break up that mass of the architecture. But now we've got a smaller footprint for our hobby garage. Right there you can see the footprint for the breezeway. Can't really see the foundation in here. They dug down around that foundation to be able to put that form and drain in. We'll have a bit of a porch entry on the side of the house here, our breezeway, and you can see, we'll be able to see right through. Down here is our form and drain. You can see it's staked into place, and then they've poured the footers. We have our plastic. They tarped everything off to help protect it from the snow and the freeze because the temperatures did get very, very cold. So we're I think about a month from when this was poured because the temperatures dropped dramatically. We had the snow beginning of 2026, so we couldn't get our foundation in. Our contractor had hoped to do that, but that's okay. It kind of pushes everything back a little bit, but that's all right. We'd rather have it done right than hastily. Everything looks like it's coming together fine. That again is the point of these visits. We want to make sure that everything's conforming to the drawings. We have some piers here because we'll have posts. We'll have steel going in to support the second floor. Try to get as much of a clear span as we can. Down here, we're gonna have a staircase that takes you into the basement. In this area here, we'll have an elevator that goes in. It's going to take you from the basement to the first floor to the hobby, or like the bonus room above the garage. And then the staircase here is going to come in on the back side of that down into this space here. And that's all tied into the basement. We've got a bedroom here, we got a bedroom over there, that's all living space. And then we're going to have a hallway here. The main stair sits right about there. And then our entries over here, this is all kind of open storage and utility space. We've got our utilities coming in from that corner of the lot to right there. Again, like there's only so much you can see on a site visit day like this. Everything looks like it's laid out right. Nobody's called me prior to say something wasn't working out. I understand the drawings very well. As the architect who designed this, you spend so much time staring at these plans that when you see it in real life, you start to understand like right away, like, yes, this is done right. You know, it's too cold to get down in there and do any measurements. It's not like I can change anything right now if something was off by ½ an inch or something, but it looks good to me so far. That's the point of today's visit. We got to see the construction site. We got to see how everything's turning out. I think it looks good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and follow along with us as we help our client build their dream home.
If you or someone you know is planning an upcoming project and are looking for an architect to work with, head over to our website where you can fill out a contact form. You'll also be able to find all of that contact information and our website in the description of this video.